even though I know how. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Toast Hammer. Now, I don't paint non-metallic metal on my Warhammer miniatures, but I do have a lot of experience with non-metallic metal painting, or as we call it in the 2D art world, painting metal. Whether it is silver, gold, iridescent, out of focus, I've gone through the gamut of all sorts of types of simulating metallic metal surfaces with non-metallic paints. In this case, mostly digital. But the technique, I think you can see, is there. So why don't I do it on my miniatures? Well, there is the issue that in digital art, I don't have access to metallic paint. It's not a tool I can use. So why not use the tools that are available to me here? But that is kind of dodging the question. The real reason that I don't paint with non-metallic metal techniques in miniature painting, I think boils down to the concept of an isolated context. Let me explain. When you're looking at a piece of art in a gallery, whether digitally or in a museum or behind me right there, your brain does something a little bit interesting in that it perceives this canvas, this sort of flat object, as having three-dimensional qualities and being sort of a window, but a window into a place that is its own self-contained scene. There is nothing of the outside world that affects it, and it does not affect the outside world around it. I don't know if this is a real term, but I'm calling this an isolated context in which the painting is fully removed from its surrounding environment. I mean, there are, of course, exceptions to this theory, ornate frames, other things like that, but in general, I kind of get that sense of that's what's happening when I'm looking at a painting. And every painting, in essence, is an illusion, a magic trick, in order for us to see represented objects that are not there. It's a flat piece of canvas or paper or whatever it is. Now, statues are not in what I would call an isolated context, for the very specific reasons that you can very quickly and easily see through them, behind them, and around them the real world existing. Not only that, but statues aren't beholden to the isolated lighting conditions that a two-dimensional canvas often is. Especially something like outdoor statues, the lighting around them is going to be constantly changing throughout the day. I tend to think of miniatures as a type of, painted statue. These are three-dimensional objects that you can see through, see around, see behind, and overall interact with the real-world space a lot more than something like a 2D canvas would. And because of that, the non-metallic metal effect starts to look off very quickly, in my opinion. The illusion, because when you're painting a 2D miniature, you are still presenting an illusion of materials and surfaces that aren't actually there. The illusion of non-metallic metal is one that is extremely easy to break under non-ideal lighting conditions. And as someone who enjoys playing tabletop miniatures on a table, usually with huge fluorescent lights or some window with light pouring in from the side, I'm very rarely in those ideal lighting conditions. But wait, Toasty, you might say, I see some incredible non-metallic miniature painters on Instagram. And that's where they get you. Because an Instagram picture of a miniature is an isolated context. It's not interacting with the outside world at all. They usually have a pure background and very clean, total lack of anything going on itself besides the actual miniature. And this is done for a very specific reason. It boosts the contrast of the miniature's paint job just by existing. By that process of blacking out the background, you are automatically boosting the contrast and the brightness of the brights, the darkness of the darks, and so on and so forth. It also means that the ideal lighting condition becomes what the paint job of the miniature is, without any environmental cues as to what the lighting situation in the real world is. The miniature's paint job, in essence, becomes its lighting, which preserves the illusion of a painted on metallic surface, much like it does in a two-dimensional canvas. However, if you go and view these miniatures, however well painted they might be, it is often very easy to, if not entirely break the illusion, then to diminish it significantly by just shifting your viewing angle around a little bit. So, for my experience, this is a very high skill and time-intensive technique that has a lot of very diminishing returns when I see it used in the context that I like to use them, which is playing a game with my miniatures. If you want to put your miniature in a black box and that is the way it should be seen, hey, that's great. I'm not gonna yuck your yum, but I like playing with my little toy soldiers. So, in terms of just efficiency, using a metallic paint, especially a high quality one like Vallejos liquid metal, I get a much better result that is not only shiny and reflective, but also adapts to the lighting situations around it by providing actual reflective materials. This is something that we don't have access to in terms of isolated contexts like a canvas, because there is only one angle. It's the one that you're looking at. But that being said, if you enjoy non-metallic metal, I think it is a great skill building technique. It is certainly possible to make a non-metallic metal effect that works in a variety of lighting situations and contexts, specifically by applying it to the most common lighting, which is going to be a top-down effect. However, I think this is very difficult to do in a well enough way that it truly maintains the illusion at multiple viewing angles. This is what I mean when I say diminishing returns. The amount of time needed to preserve that illusion is far exceeding the amount of benefit that I think it would give off. Obviously, this is a personal opinion and a potentially terrible take. The caveat to that is it is a great technique to practice if you want to learn things like brush control, learning how to blend things well, create gradations from one color into another, and overall just learning how metallic surfaces function and studying the way that material changes in different conditions. It can be a very useful tool to build out your visual library in general. And having a strong visual library can only make you a better painter. Now, will I never paint non-metallic metal in the future? I'm not going to say that for certain. I have no idea. I do have to make content for this YouTube channel, so it may come to that. But that is why I at least don't prefer to paint non-metallic metal for my Warhammer miniatures. It just doesn't seem worth the effort for me. And I'm not going to be applying for a golden demon anytime soon, so why bother? But is this a terrible take? Let me know in the comments below. If you're a non-metallic metal head and you have some great examples of awesome non-metallic metal effects that are super easy to do and super convincing no matter how you look at them, hey, I'd love to see them. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving it a like. Every like helps out the channel a lot. And if you want some more bad painting takes, make sure to hit that subscribe button because there's definitely going to be some more. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.